Okay. So this is episode 56 of Living Out Loud. Um, it's been so great because I've had a couple of different friends on. Like I had Angel and I had Mary Lou last week. Do you remember Mary Lou?
Of course I do.
Yeah, of course. So this week, our guest is Todd. We have no Katie this week because this was kind of like on the fly last night that Todd and I decided to do this. And so the topic is being an expat, basically, right? Like being American, but choosing to live in another country. You live in Costa Rica. How long have you been in Costa Rica?
Funny because my anniversary was last Friday, 26 years.
26 years.
That said, I've been out almost 30 years as you know, I taught English over in Korea for a year. I followed that up by a year in Japan, actually doing construction work.
Okay.
And then my travels, I take a couple months off a year traveling and yeah, 30 years out of the US.
So here's my first question. So obviously the teaching English in Korea was post college
Yes.
to go off and do something, right? Pretty
I
much.
I think we have to start from the beginning here. My parents, and we grew
Mhm.
up Buffalo, New York, right? I don't know how many of your listeners know that, but
Oh, that's right. Todd and I went to high school together.
that's right. I think we met. I was thinking about it last night in 86, 7, somewhere in there.
We were in band together.
Oh, I forgot about that. We were in band. I remember you from cheerleading though.
Oh, well, that would have been sophomore year, but we were in band together. I was the all-time worst clarinet player out of everybody, and you were the all-time worst trumpet player out of everybody because we were
I
like
was
in the
proud.
last seats.
I sat last seat my senior year. I don't think I ever practiced, but I got an A.
Mr. McDonald, remember him?
That's
Our
so
band
funny.
director. I just remember being like, why am I even in here? Like, I barely know how to play this thing. I just thought it would look good on a college application, whatever. But once I got in the
Easy A.
cheerleading squad, I dumped it. I dumped it as soon as I got on the cheerleading squad. I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
I
So
didn't.
yeah, so we went to high school together. We were in band together. Todd is a year older than me,
Yes.
but I was friends with a lot of girls in your class.
Our siblings all knew each other, and it
Yep.
seems like that was a common thread at Kenmore West. All of my friends had, come to think of it, brothers or sisters, and that's how I think we all ended up together.
Well, because we were both the youngest, and then we both have two older sisters who I think are the same age, right?
Yeah. But
And
our
then and
other
then
friends, Brian,
what?
Andy, George,
George. Yep.
most of them were in the same situation with. I think that's pretty unique.
I think it is too, because like with George, not to go too down the rabbit hole, Julie and Vinny were the same ages as Elaine and Elizabeth. And then Siobhan and what's Larry?
Yes.
Were but Nora's younger, but they were this, I think they were the same age as my sisters. Like it's just a weird, like our parents all had kids like at the exact same time. And then we all ended up being like, in
Right.
the same grade. But anyway, and also point of interest from high school, I had the hugest crush on Todd from like probably like ninth grade until like 11th grade.
Just throwing it out there like that, huh?
You knew
I
that. We've
tried to
talked about
kiss you
that.
after a basketball game. I asked you, and that's what I remember about that.
You
But
asked
it
me
never
out after a
happened,
basketball game.
and I'm glad we never dated. We never did anything. But I
Well,
love our relationship now, and
well, yeah,
I want to thank
totally.
you for having me on this podcast.
You're
And I can't
welcome.
tell you how much I admire that you've stuck with it. I listened to the first dozen or so, but I think it's a great position for you outside of your work. And
Oh,
now that your
thank you.
kids have, yeah,
Oh.
for sure.
Well, I would just like to make a comment that when Todd asked me out and I said no, It's because I didn't want the entire Phillips clan coming after me and ripping me limb from limb, which was Todd's ex-girlfriend at the time, who was on
There it
cheerleading
is.
with.
Incestuous high school for
I
sure.
did not need the Phillipses and all their cousins coming for me because that's what would have happened. So, okay, so that's the trip down memory lane. So, start at the beginning. You went to George Mason. I remember everything.
Well, that's what my point was. My parents pushed my sisters and I outside of Buffalo. They're like, get out of here, go out of state, don't come back. And that's where my travel started. I would have went to Florida or California. I know it sounds bizarre, but I had a subscription to Surfer magazine and I
Mhm.
lived my life through that monthly subscription delivered to the house. I would disappear into that magazine. And somehow that got set in my mind that I wanted to be a surfer, although I'd never been to an ocean. And that led me to Costa Rica X amount of years later. And I still live that life.
And look at you now, right? Okay, so one question that I had, and this is in regard to moving, this is in regard to moving to Costa Rica and never coming back, basically, to live here, right? You built a life in Costa Rica, you and your wife, Sarah, you live in like the rainforest of Costa Rica, basically, correct? You both
Oh,
work there. Yeah, you both work there. Um, why did you move out of the US?
I wanted to become a surfer. It's odd, but that's why I want to go back. Got out of Buffalo, went to George Mason University, graduated in 4 years. I had only skied once, but that one day of skiing made me think, hey, I love this. If I'm skiing every day, that's all that really matters. Doesn't matter what I did. I didn't go to college for a job. I didn't even know what a major was, and I wish I was joking. I sound so ignorant when I say that. I'm like,
Don't.
Mom, what do I want to be? She's like a business major. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. Within 2 months of being at George Mason, Fairfax, Virginia, I switched to English. I realized that I could write and still party, basically.
So
I
party,
didn't want
basically.
a career. I can't imagine being 17, 16, picking a university, deciding on a career. That just was appalling to me. And it never registered as that's why you go to college.
Well, and
So I graduated and I moved to Telluride, Colorado. My girlfriend and I at the time decided that's what we wanted to do after graduation. We did a road trip out there. I've never been to Colorado. And we're like, we'll work our way through ski towns. We'll pick one. We'll line up an apartment, work all summer, and move out there at the beginning of September. So I ended up in Telluride, Colorado the following September after working 2 jobs all summer down at Mississippi Muds and then delivering pizzas after that. 60, 70 hours a week in order to
yeah.
save to move to
Mhm.
Colorado. Looking back on all this, I think it's important to mention that I didn't have any family money. We weren't given anything. It was hard work, short term goals, get where you need to be and start figuring it out. I
I
think
think,
that's what we miss now.
besides the actual topic of you basically being an expat, that's also great advice in the sense of kids today who aren't going the traditional route for college, who my kids didn't. Um, I mean, Gray's taken a gap year, Ian took a gap year, then he went. Peter went to Geneseo for 3 semesters, wasn't a good fit. He's figuring it out right now. I have no problem with that. I have absolutely no problem with that. I think you have to go to school, you have to go to college at 18, and graduate at 21 and know what you want to do at 21. It's absurd.
Appalling to me.
It's absurd
Your
because
brain isn't
unless
even fully developed yet. How do you know what you want to do for the rest of your life?
I still don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I mean, like it always changes. So I think I am fully supportive of the paths that my kids are taking. Ian, like I told you, is going to Yosemite National Park in a couple of days.
I love it.
And honestly, Todd, I don't think he's going to come back. I don't. I think
We'll
he's going to
see.
get out there. I think he's going to make connections. He wants to be mountain rescue at a year-round ski resort. I think he'll meet people. I think he will realize that goal. And I am okay with it. 100%. So, okay, so that's a good message for kids, and like juniors, seniors in high school, or even kids who took a gap year, or even kids who are in college now, right? Having it all figured out by the time you're 21 is a ridiculous notion. It's absolutely
Well,
ridiculous.
I think nowadays too, with these phones, and when we did it, you don't know what you're getting into. There's obviously a lot of question marks when you move somewhere. How am I going to do this? How am I going to? It was really cold turkey back then. We moved
Right.
out there. I didn't even realize the schematics of like the ski town, what you needed to do, who you needed to be. But luck has it, I scored a bartending job. I was 21. I've never bartended. Big resort on the
It's a
hill.
good
That's good
gig.
job. Tell
It's
you
a
what,
good gig.
3 nights a week, I was able to get a ski pass. And now
Mhm.
I can ski 80, 90, 100 days a year. And that's what I wanted to do. So it happened quickly.
Right.
She ended up getting a job at a restaurant, and we were making good money, relatively, right?
Well, for that
So
age, right? For that age and time. Yeah, you
living
were.
in the moment, doing what we wanted to do, carpe diem, so important.
It is important. And so, okay, so there was Telluride, then Korea, then
Well,
Japan.
it became a relationship issue. I had been with this girl for several years. We moved out to
Hmm.
Colorado. We did break up once during my senior year. And I realized personally that I'm too young to settle down. I had this
Well,
desire,
yeah.
kind of consider myself an alpha man, but I had a desire to just be with other women. Not that our relationship wasn't great, but my wandering eye. That said, I never cheated, which I don't know how I didn't, but I'm telling myself, hey, in order to be a man, I have to break up with this girl. And as an excuse, in a way, I uh, I had student loans, right? I went out of state. I had student loans. I wanted to get rid of them. I didn't feel like I could live the life I wanted to live. It wasn't even that much. Thinking about it now, I don't know, 15, 20 grand at the time.
That's nothing compared to what some of these kids are paying.
So I formulated this. I think I saw the ad in the back of like a Rolling Stone magazine. It was either go to Alaska and become a fisherman or go teach English. So Um, she was unsure, but she's like, "Oh, I can teach English too." So together we moved to San Francisco, and there was a school there. Although I had an English degree, I wasn't certified to teach. It would give you the certification to go abroad, ESL, or at the time TOEFL, Teacher of English and Foreign Language.
Mhm.
So we both went to the school in San Francisco for a month. Super intense, every day. We both got certified. And at that time, that's when I found the courage to break up with her.
Once
So
once you dragged her ass to San Francisco,
super intense.
you left
Broke
her
up
heart
with
in San
her.
Francisco.
That drive from San Francisco back to Virginia together with all of our stuff in a U-Haul truck was traumatic. There were times where she's just screaming at me and we're driving, 36 hours straight, getting back, dropping her off at her mother's, and going back to Buffalo.
Yikes.
Oh,
Yeah. Just
ironically, I
thinking
just
about it now.
spoke with her. We're still very good friends.
That's good.
I don't know if I told you, but I went through all of my pictures from my
Yep.
entire life that is up at the cottage yesterday. And I felt the urge to reach out to her, which I did. And I'm actually sending her 100, 200 pictures that was from our time together that I certainly don't need, but she wants them, and I'm going to send them to her.
That's a good ending to the story
Yeah,
after
I
you
don't think there's
blew it
any
apart in San Francisco.
malice. There's not, yeah, ironically, I'm friends with most of my exes.
I can see that about you.
Yeah. I mean, I was being honest, right? But how do you tell someone that you do love that, hey, it's just, I want to be with other women? It's just how it was at the time, you know?
I don't think there's anything necessarily. I think that's a brave and honest choice because people stay in relationships they should no longer be in. Um, you see it all the time. So,
Well,
okay. So
anyway,
before we get too
so I
off
stuck with the plan. And at the school, South Korea was paying the most for first year teachers. I didn't,
track.
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't even know where Korea was. I had no geography. Again, this is before internet, but I'm like, hey, if they're paying me that, that's where I'm going. So sure enough, a couple months later, I end up in South Korea. I'll never forget getting on that flight, showing up. The teacher picked me up. You start work on Monday. I flew in on like a Saturday, and I'm standing in front of a. I had everything from kindergarten until like middle school classes, 1 in the morning, 4 at night, and I started doing that.
Wow. Like all
Yeah,
the way, a long way from home, all by yourself.
I had nothing. I had a backpack. There was no TV. I had a roommate from the States. That was great, but yeah, it was a huge step. I
It is
have
a huge step.
journals from almost every day of that year.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Uh,
You like to write. But so, okay. Still relatively young, early 20s, South Korea, then Japan. I want to get into Costa Rica because you and I, after high school, we didn't talk very much. Well, you were gone. And then I think we reconnected on Facebook.
yeah, I didn't talk to anyone during that time. I missed a lot
Yeah.
of weddings of my friends. Again, a phone call was $100. I think
Mhm.
people forget that. When you went, you were gone.
Well, I looked up an article about um, being an American and live and choosing to live abroad, like choosing to leave and live abroad. And this girl who is doing it, right? Her and her boyfriend, and she put down the 13 things you need to know. And one of them is that your relationships with people are going to change and you're going to miss things. Like you're going to miss things. You're going to miss weddings and you're going to miss, you know, um, the stuff that goes on with your family. And it's potentially your family might not have the means to come visit you. So you won't see family for a long time. But it's a choice. And she said with the things that could be considered cons to choosing to live outside the United States, um, that there are so many pros to it that it's worth it. And some people leave and they never come back, like you. And but you in Costa Rica, you and Sarah, you have a lot of friends who are American,
Well,
right?
I did end up coming back.
Oh, I missed that part.
Well, I was inspired to become a body worker
That's right.
for that year in Japan. So I'm looking at schools, and wow, New York State has the best massage schools. And I had the intention of moving to Costa Rica as soon as I got done. That was always there. I never,
Why Costa Rica?
in the 80s, Costa Rica blew up in the surf world. Every
Okay.
other magazine cover on that magazine is saying, this is the spot, cheap living. It's not just the surf, it's the bonfires after surf, it's the bikinis, it's the food, it's the lifestyle that I bought into that culture.
Lifestyle. Lifestyle.
Exactly. And once again, I always thought, hey, if I'm doing what I want to do in my free time, why does it matter what my job is? That has always held true for me.
But then you decided to become a body worker.
I did. So I'm like, okay, I've been out away from my home for 10 years now, 4 years college, 6 years Colorado, Asia. I come home, I moved back in with mom and dad in the attic where I was raised, and I have to put a year of massage school in. I didn't have the money, so I was doing carpentry work in the morning, framing. We're talking framing in the middle of winter in Buffalo, 7 till noon, going to massage school 1 till 5:30. And at the time I was lifting a lot of weights with my friend, the professional Brett Campanella, who we're still best friends.
Campanella.
But I decided, hey, it's time to grind. And I put a year in doing that. Just work the whole time, studying for school. But the end goal, I'm moving to Costa Rica.
Right.
So that's what happened.
So, okay. When the day came that you were actually moving to Costa Rica, and you live in Manuel Antonio, right?
Correct. Central
Have you always
Pacific.
lived there? You've always lived there?
When I moved there, I took 3 months and I traveled. I moved there with $2,000, a tent in my backpack, and a surfboard. I traveled. I was able to put that tent up pretty much anywhere for $2 a night. And I was living like a dog. Like I didn't care. I was living my dream. I remember not being able to sleep because I'm like, I'm finally here. I just
Right.
grinded out a year and a half. This is it. It sounds crazy. I tell clients this,
Does
but that's
kind of sound
the,
crazy, right?
the truth.
But but see, like when people say like, "Oh my God, that's wild, that's crazy," nothing is impossible.
Correct.
Like if you have the
Absolutely.
mindset, I can't do this. This is just like what Angel was saying when she was on. If you have this mindset, like I can't do this, this is crazy, this is out of bounds, everyone thinks I'm nuts. But if you just flip that and say, of course I can do this. Of
Yeah.
course I can. Why can't I? There are people who've done wild things in their lives only because they told themselves that they can.
I want to inject the word discipline into this.
Okay.
Growing up, like wrestling was my main sport, as you know. My father, my
Mhm.
varsity coach, 6 years high school, camps all summer. I had the discipline of a, I don't know, animal. Like if I
Right.
wanted something, I was going to do it. And anywhere I went, I figured I could work harder than the next guy and I'd be fine. And I think that's the underlying like key to a lot of these decisions, just that absolute truth in myself to get it done, to get what you want. There's a big world out there, go get it. How are you going to do it? Get it.
Right.
It still excites me. I try to get my nieces and nephews like motivated that way, but I'm not sure that exists.
Well, we're kind of living in a different time
Yeah.
where there is kind of this like, I can't do this mindset. And as you know, and I never get super political on this podcast, but there are things shifting and changing in the world. And one
It
of the
drives
things
me
that,
nuts what
well,
you're
one of
about
the
to say.
reasons I wanted to talk about this with you is because you did this years ago. You moved away years ago. Now there are people, because of the current administration, that want to leave the United States. And there are countries out there. I read an article that the Netherlands is very welcoming to Americans who want to leave the States because of the political climate. Like they've like advertised it, right? And so, but do you think, I just want to ask this question. When people are, because some people have actually done it. Like, of course, we hear about the celebrities, who are leaving the country to live somewhere else. Well, that's
Who,
all
by
well
the
and good.
way,
They have
made
money.
millions, if not billions of dollars in our system.
Well, that
I
is
it,
true.
it's a privilege to even be able to leave for starters. And I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without growing up in America, having a father as a coach, having a higher education, which I was able to take loans for, being able to drive across country, shift my dynamics and grow, that it absolutely drives me nuts that people talk so bad about America and maybe they don't even have a passport. I've been to over 24 countries over the years. I go everywhere, and I will never talk bad about the US.
So,
That said,
so
I've been out.
I know, but even though that said, and you having been out of the US, you very much keep up on American politics and things that are going on and stuff like that. Now, let me ask you this. The people who are like, I'm leaving because this is ridiculous. Does that sound like a rash decision to you? Like, I mean, because here's the thing. Like there are articles out there about this movement to leave and everything like that. And people are kind of randomly, and I'm not disparaging these people. I understand like where they're coming from. But when you're saying like, I'm leaving, I'm gonna move to Scotland, I'm gonna move to Portugal, I'm gonna move to, Germany, you have to, on some level, recognize and educate yourself that those countries do not operate the way that we do.
That's what most people don't understand. And I see this happen time and time again in Manuel Antonio. I would say 80 to 90% of the new people that are moving here forever, they're gone. How are you going to
They don't
make
make
it
it.
happen? What are you going to do? They think that there's justice. They think that crime gets handled. Like where I am, if something gets stolen out of your house, good luck calling the cops. They might come, they might ask you for gas money. They're not going to do anything about it. There's definitely your eyes are flicking there. There's eye-opening thing. What
They
drives
charge
me
you for
nuts
gas
too.
money if they come to your house,
Yeah,
if there's a
absolutely.
burglary.
Yeah, they're absolutely underfunded. And you're a gringo anyway. Even if I have the tenure of 26 years and I'm a legal permanent resident, guess what?
You're not a
You're
priority.
I'm discriminated against there. You got to be ready to handle that too. You're the new gringo in town, even if you've been there for decades, and you don't get treated the same way. You better be ready to handle that.
Do you think there are, do you find, especially recently, maybe, are there anti-American sentiments?
Oh, yeah, it happened to me this year for the first time on the beach. I had a
Really?
surf school for a while as well when I
Right.
was really into that sport. So this year, I think it was back in February, I have an old client, comes every year. And then I had a friend who had or I'm sorry, her nephew in town. And she calls me up. She's like, "Can you take him surfing?" Sounds good. Sunrise, I'll be there at 6 o'clock. I asked my other client to come, go down there, do the surf lesson. But as I'm doing it, there's a quote surf school. There's maybe a dozen of them on our beach.
Okay.
Young kids, long hair, just like I used to be, setting up. And there's a part of the lesson where I'm out in the water pushing them into waves, but I leave my board on the beach. Halfway through, I'm like, okay, it's time to start paddling in. So I go in, I get my board, and I say good morning to them in Spanish. And they say something under their breath to me.
Okay.
Nobody's on the beach. It's early morning.
Right.
I'm like, hey, like what? And they say it again. I can't hear. There's water in my ear. I kind of blow it off, finish the lesson, go home, and it's bothering me. So I'm like, huh, all right. So I talked to Sarah, my wife. She's like, go talk to him. I'm like, that's all I need to hear. So I'm getting a little fired up. Used to have a lot more of that in me, but I'm getting old. So I go down to their little surf camp. They actually have like a bar set up too. They're totally illegal. There's no way they're paying like their permits. You can, you don't need to do that there. And I call them over. I'm like, hey, I missed what you said to me this morning, but I want to know. And sure enough, it turned into an immediate conflict, which ended with, we don't want, what were the exact words? We don't want white guys like you around here. I'm like, dude, I was doing surf lessons when you were still on your mother's tit. I didn't say that to him, but I'm thinking
What
it.
you were thinking.
And I told him, I'm like, I had a surf school here 20 years ago. They didn't know, they're younger kids. And then the lifeguard comes over and almost like chests me and like he gets involved. And again, I spent every day on that beach for 15 years being friendly. But
Right.
it's funny you bring that up. Yeah, that was my first like anti-American sentiment that I think I've ever had.
I'm not saying it's like that everywhere, but
People
I think,
are tribal.
well,
They're
and I,
feeling threatened by
right.
what I'm doing, even though there's nobody on the beach. I told them, I'm like, that's a family member, and I'm not allowed to take guys surfing. Like I spoke with them. I kept laughing at them. I was
Oh, I'm
fired
sure
up,
that went
but
over well.
yeah, exactly. And I'm a little bigger guy down there,
Yeah.
kind of smaller, and I used to have that in me, being a wrestler, football player, all that. So like I can snap, but I've put that to rest, maybe, hopefully. So yeah, I get that now and then.
I just think that it's part of it. I think that like that people need to inform themselves before they make the decision. And I also feel like, regardless of politics and what's going on and everything that's happening, our country is very cyclical in the sense that, administrations are going to change and change is constant. And things are always going to change. And I know for some people it seems extremely dire right now, but abandoning, well, not abandoning, but I mean, it's expensive to move abroad. It's expensive to, I mean, all the things we have to get into, line. And just like you said yesterday, you're like, okay, so Todd is currently back here because he's coming back to visit for like the month of May. And how you said that you had to call for jury duty. And I was like, you don't even live here, but you're
I
still a resident.
actually, yes, I'm legally able to have a driver's license, which I do. That's how I got called. My advice to someone looking to move abroad is go live there for a year.
Right.
Don't move anywhere, you know,
Don't
try it
pick up
out.
your whole life, right? And like you just said, like some of the people, the new people who've come down to Costa Rica, they're gone already. And then they got to like organize again when they get back, to where they came from. And it just seems like it's becoming more of a trend that people want to leave. And like you said, even though you don't live here anymore, it's not that you don't appreciate the US and what it can provide.
All of my
And
Costa Rican friends that I met in my late 20s when I moved there at 28, all of them want to get out of Costa Rica. Most of them married Europeans or women from the States. They want to get out. Most of the world wants to get into the US, despite the chatter online, on Facebook. It's a better life here if you come from nothing. It's funny that the biggest voices to me are the ones that are all set, live in McMansions, have wonderful families, probably have health care, but they're the ones that are slandering the US.
it's an interesting topic
Yeah.
because you can, you know, I don't, I don't, I don't like to get like in. Okay, so in my opinion, throughout history, right? Presidents have always been divisive because we have a two-party system, right?
That's another thing.
Which
How
my
many?
son just said to me the other day. George Washington said a two-party system would never work, right? Um, so it's always going to be, there's always going to be conflict because you can vote someone in and the people who voted for him are thrilled and love everything he's going to do, or she. And then the ones
Look,
that voted against are going to hate everything that they do. I mean, it almost doesn't seem like there's any logic to it because, like,
it's fixed.
I have a friend who says, I look at the policies and not the person.
Yes,
And that
it's
doesn't mean he
fixed.
agrees with all the policies, right? But, you know, throughout time, there have been presidents who have been, I mean, think about it. Teddy Roosevelt was probably really divisive. He was a rough rider. He was, like this balls to the wall, like type guy, right?
Rider, that's
He was
funny.
a rough rider. Haven't you ever been to San Antonio, Texas, where the Alamo is? And
I have
there's a
no.
bar there. And in the basement was where Teddy Roosevelt like gathered his Rough Riders. And it's this old, it's like 200 years old. It's totally cool. I love history. But there are always presidents who are polarizing.
Yes.
And that's because we
Um,
have a two-party system. I don't know, but I mean,
what's our
go ahead.
party system in Costa Rica? Are you familiar with it?
No idea. I'm
I get
woefully ignorant of that.
our last election, we had 12 different political parties. And Laura Fernandez, our current president, just got, I think it was this week, was put into our second woman president is in place
So she's
right now.
already served one term, or
No, that was
she
a
was
different.
was a
Laura
different one?
Chinchilla. I looked it up last night. 2010 to 2014 was our first woman president, and now this Laura Fernandez just got whatever it's called put into
So you're saying
office.
there was 12 different candidates, 12 different
Yes,
parties represented.
parties,
Parties.
parties. They fraction off, and
Okay.
it varies. Yeah,
So it's just an interesting thing because I don't, as I get older, I don't really know where I fall. Like there's a quote, I'm probably gonna butcher it, but there was a quote that I heard years ago that was like, if you're not liberal when you're younger, you have no heart. And if you're not conservative when you're older, you have no brain.
I'm totally that hippie, long hair in college, moving to Colorado, and now the older I get, that's what's happening to me.
So, did you vote in the last election? Because
I
can
haven't
you?
voted since Ross Perot, which I believe was what, 89, 88, maybe?
Prospero. But so, I just find that to
I'm,
be an interesting
I'm
statement.
freezing right.
I know you're freezing. I know you are. But like, I just find that to be an interesting statement because I think when you're younger, well, I'm not saying everybody, but like, when I was in college and into high school, I was kind of in like my hippie phase and I was all idealistic and I was all like, um, well, I hadn't really gone out into the world yet or anything either, but you want the best for everybody and you think it's possible and you think everything's going to be equal as long as we work hard at it and all this stuff. And then the realities of life intrude and you realize that's not necessarily true. And there are people
I
who work for it and there are people who work against it. And you start to kind of think to yourself, like in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, what works, what doesn't, um, what's just kind of harebrained, what's logical. But then we have so many voices, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't know what the answer is.
I feel like I
I don't
kept
know.
that commitment to myself by getting out of the US, moving to, at the time, no one even knew where Costa Rica was, and I created a life for myself. Let's call it, I lived
Living out loud. Oh, I lost your audio.
You did? That's
Oh, you're back.
strange.
You're
I'm
back
back.
for a second.
Yeah.
You like kind of glitched.
What I was saying was like I kept that idealism and lived it out loud in Costa Rica. I happened to be the first male massage therapist in Costa Rica. There was a few European women. They didn't
Right.
even know what massage was. I didn't know that moving there. My surfing passion, that's what I did. It brought me a new job, surf lessons, and it introduced me to hundreds, if not thousands of people. I
Hmm.
think you have to create whatever that dream is, and I think that gets lost or pushed out of you very young in the US, right? We tell our kids, hey, live your dream, go do it. But then high school comes. Hey, what do you want to do? Pick a major. And then the finances. And then all the materialism. I need an apartment. I need my stuff. I never bought into that. That's why I was comfortable living out of a tent at 28. I was able to stay free, meaning I got rid of my girlfriend. Even, I
One
mean,
way to
like,
stay
there's
free.
things that tie you down, right? Your commitment with your mom and dad. My mom and dad were like, go get it, son,
That's
which
rare.
I'm extremely close with these days. Thank
Of course.
God. My sisters as well. So I think that's important to keep in mind too. That dream. What's your dream now, right? It changes, but I kept that at the forefront. Thus, it led to my success. It could have went terribly wrong, but I'm not looking back.
No. Do you think you would ever live here again?
No, there's no reason. I love my life there. It is so nice. I'd like to travel more, even though I still travel 2, 3 months a year. I'd like to maybe up that to 6 months on, 6 months off. As you know, we have that bed and breakfast too, which is
Yes,
another
we have to mention that.
dream come true.
I will
Um,
put, I'll put the link to serotonin in the notes for this so people can see it.
I it's been open for 2, 3 years. We watch sunsets, my wife and I up there, and I still get tears in my eyes from the gratitude that I have for having that courage to move to Costa Rica and follow my dreams. But it doesn't have to be Costa Rica. I think it can be it can be a new state. Get out
Right,
of New York State if you don't like it. It can be
right.
your situation around you. Hey, if you're really not liking your peers or what's going on around you, move. Have the courage, get it done, have a long term plan. Maybe work 2 jobs for a year to get the money. You got to sacrifice to get things in this world. And, just the whining that goes on about, oh, the oppression, I just don't buy it.
In the States,
It can
they're
be
everywhere.
anywhere, but yeah, mainly in the States is what I'm referring to. I see jobs. I've only been here a week. I saw so many signs for we're hiring. Who cares if you're making 15 bucks an hour delivering pizzas? What else are you going to be doing at home? Riding internet, watching TV, going to bed early? You know, make that 15 an hour.
Better than zero.
Stay out of debt too. Do you
Oh,
need a
that's also
McMansion? You know,
right.
people complaining about taxes and get out of that system. Live how you want to live is my advice to people, but I know I sound radical right now.
I don't think you sound radical, but like, like you said, paying taxes, well, your taxes actually afford you something. You actually, whether you're talking like county, state, federal, that was a system that was put in place a long time ago to finance programs.
Yeah.
And all of us benefit from those programs. And yeah, it's like, I'm so like, as I get older, I'm just kind of like, I've always lived in the States. Obviously, you and I both have family places in Canada, and we both love Canada. Um, but I would never move to Canada. because their healthcare system is different. You know, it may be universal, but you know, I have Canadian friends and I'm not bashing Canada, don't get me wrong. It's just the way their healthcare works, right? That
Ours
I
is
had a
the same way in Costa Rica, social.
social.
I,
And so
I,
like I had a friend who needed like, you know, sinus surgery. Well, that wasn't a priority,
no,
right? So he had to wait because there were other people with more serious issues. And so he had to wait until they told him, okay, now you can come in. And that didn't mean he wasn't going to get bumped. They got somebody else because they provided for everybody, they take the more urgent cases, right?
yeah,
So like
it
our
doesn't
healthcare
work.
here, yeah, our healthcare here, if I went to a ear, nose, and throat guy and I was having a sinus issue, they would schedule the surgery and that would be it.
Yes.
And I'm not saying our system is perfect, and I'm not saying that Canada's system doesn't work, but these are things when people are considering moving out of the country. Like there are people who talk about the US and people who want to come here because there's so much provided that they have no chance of getting where they live. They have no chance. And even it doesn't matter who's in office right now. It's still a system that provides for a lot of people. Now, is that going to be unpopular with some people for me to say that? Most likely. But
I didn't realize that the US provided so much for those in need. I
until you
cons
left,
Never. Like I feel like I've only been hearing about this the last 5, 10 years. I didn't realize there was so many social systems out there. To me, it seems like everyone's cheating on those systems now. Everyone's figuring out, oh, all right, I can make a little less and then I'll qualify for that, or say that my back hurts and get extra from the, say you're in the military and you get out with a exemption because of a, I, I, I guess I was ignorant to it. I didn't realize there was that much free money out there. I never even considered it. Hey, I got to work for my money. I got to be better than that next guy to get mine. That's always been my attitude with that. I don't want anyone to give me anything because then I owe them. I That's
I
anything
mean,
from a
right,
free drink to a meal. Hey, okay, I got to pay it back to you.
right.
I don't have that mindset.
Well, I mean, but we have to recognize too that, you know, the systems that are in place and the things that are provided, there are people that truly, truly, truly need them. And
Yes.
it gets
Uh,
screwed over when the people who don't truly need it take advantage of it. That is
yeah.
been going on
It's
for
rampant, I think,
ever.
right now. And I would love for that to be cleaned up if he can do it. I don't know.
A gigantic job.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
gigantic job. And you also don't want to penalize the people that truly need it and paint everybody with the same brush and assume that
Correct.
they're all crooked and everything like that because there are, you know, single mothers out there who are working two jobs that have three kids and you know
Yes.
need this assistance and because they're working, right? So they're
Yeah.
trying. Um it's such a fraught issue. And but like you said, like you know, just being in Costa Rica, your house gets broken into, cops might come, they might not, right? Here, you call 911, boom,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Like we're on our way, on the
It's
way.
not easy living outside the US, and people kind of think it is, you know? It's not a vacation. In fact, I'd throw out there that it's harder than living here. I'm pretty established now. I've been there since the beginning, but that was just luck. There are other countries like that. I was just in Portugal all of October. I loved it, absolutely. The Portuguese were saying that hey, there's so many people coming here now that we're worried about our own culture, where our future is. But isn't that the dynamics of what the world's always done? Right? Most of us, or our grandparents, great grandparents, my grandparents spoke Polish in the house. They left Poland And yeah, they made a new life. Factory worker after World War II, sure. But maybe it's not the US's turn now. Maybe it is Portugal. Maybe it is somewhere in Central America. I don't know, but that's just the flow of the world. That's how it works, you know?
And I never thought about that if there's like an influx of Americans to a certain country because that country's friendly to welcoming Americans who want to leave the US, you don't think about what the residents of that country think. Like they don't want their culture to be Americanized. They have
Right.
their own culture. Um,
Well,
that's an
that's what the
interest.
Beach Boys and my conflict with them, that's what they're thinking now. Well, that's who they are, right? That's what I was. That's kind of what I still am. I mean, it amazed me. It definitely bothered me for days, that little exchange I had with those guys.
Because
But
you're not working against them. You're not trying to ruin their culture. You love their culture.
I could send them clients if they would have been cool, because I don't really do lessons anymore, right? Like I meet people that want them. Hey, if you guys were good guys, I'd send you clients probably daily. That's something I never got to explain to them.
Well, they already have their opinion of you.
Yeah.
That's what I worry about, and like that's another thing people have to be careful about. And I think this probably happens when Americans travel abroad because you always read these articles about ugly Americans, right? Like they might hate you on sight. They don't want to get to know you. They don't want to. They already have a preconceived notion of because of where you come from. And you can go in there with all the best intentions in the world, and they may still want absolutely nothing to do with you. So it's like,
What stands out the most with Americans, at least in my opinion and most of my friends, is the obesity. Just 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight and thinking that that is like how the world is. If you're that well fed, you probably are doing okay in other aspects of life, you know? I know this is a tough. I just read what 45% of Americans between 40 and 55 are considered obese. That's appalling to me. And then if you get obese people showing up that are a little demanding in your foreign country, I mean, it's hard to not make fun of them. Like, doesn't your body reflect your mind, right? Like, if you're a little sloppy with your body, chances are your thoughts aren't clear or device or that discipline word again. How disciplined are you, you know? I'm not talking about a little overweight. I'm talking about obese.
it's just so funny because I have like it,
Edit,
like
edit.
no, I don't edit anything. I don't edit
Yeah,
anything. You're not naming any
you
names. You're
might
not like,
have
but
to.
I will tell you, I have someone I'm convinced I have a dislike stalker. It does not matter what I put out there. There is someone who is dislike immediately. Like I started this whole book club. Well, I call it a book club, but like I read a book for an elementary school girl population, middle school girl
Uh,
population, high school girl population. And I'm reading this adorable book for elementary school girls, and I get downvoted. It is about a princess who's a superhero and has a flying horse and a frimple pants. And there are people who are like, I'm like, this is for 5 to 10 year olds.
if you
What's
have the
the
time to be pessimistic, down thumbing someone, like sitting negative in front of your computer screen, I don't think you have enough going on in your life that's worthy. I mean, sorry to be that hardcore about it, but come on, man. You think your comment on like YouTube really matters? You're spending your time, your valuable life doing that stuff? Get out of your house. Get into your
well,
body.
yeah,
Go,
and like,
you know.
and I think, trying to and doing this little like book reading thing that I'm doing, which is really just trying to like build literacy.
Yeah. Read a book. How about a book a month for a year? Try that. That's a great new hobby. I'm an
I'm just
avid
kind of trying to
reader.
like, yeah, I'm just kind of trying to like, read to young girls and they're like girl power books. Like, I don't know, maybe that's the negativity. Like maybe the down voter is against girls having girl power books. I don't freaking know. Like, I mean, everything's just so wild now. Like there's so much hate and
I think
like
I think it's a small amount of people that just have volumes of announcement for that hate. I really don't feel that that's truly out there, but I think the small few are so stomping their feet. That's like the one kid that just won't stop screaming, you know?
I don't know what the answer
But
is.
I'm not here a lot. I don't know what's going on much. I love to live in my own little world and then massage love into people, get to know them before or after the massage, bring in the next tourist. I love that lifestyle. Even the
It's a good
biggest like
lifestyle.
dickhead maybe in the US will come down, spend the day on the beach, eat healthy food, be around positive people, and it changes them. You see it.
Yeah,
That's vacation, but it doesn't have to be vacation. You can live that way
you can live that way every day,
anywhere.
anywhere.
Freezing Crystal Beach, Ontario.
You're
I can't believe
freezing.
how cold I am. Literally been shaking and I have clothes on. I went for a jog before even to like warm up. I can't believe it. I'm kind of like shaking. It's
It's going to be
funny.
warm this weekend, so that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. But all right, Todd, what are your final words in regard to living as an expat, living, you know, not living the American experience really anymore, even though you're still an American?
Fill up your passports. Try to get extended vacations, however you can do it. Not a week at a all-inclusive resort. That drives me nuts. Take real vacations. Get a backpack. Try a hostel. You don't need to spend the big bucks. You need to meet the local that lives in whatever place you're visiting and being like, hey, can you show me around? How do you live here? I think that's so valuable to just see other angles on lifestyle choices.
And then let me ask you the difficult question. And like, I know you love your life in Costa Rica, and that's why you're there. And Sarah, also, your wife is an American citizen. She was not local. She's also from the States, and you
Chicago,
met
yep.
her there. And you have to tell her I say hi. Is there anything, and I know, I'm prefacing this just to basically get an answer out of you. You love your life in Costa Rica, you love the culture and all that stuff. Is there anything specific that would keep you from living in the United States?
No,
Okay.
I would live here, you know. I think of which state I would move to. It certainly wouldn't be back to Buffalo, but I love some of the coastal areas, Outer Banks, North Carolina, I love. There's parts of Florida, Texas, certain times of the year. I wouldn't like that strong heat, but there's places that I need to be in the outdoors. I need to be surrounded by beauty. Cities aren't for me. And the older I get, the more I realize that it's almost, I just don't feel right when I'm in big cities anymore because I'm so in nature all the time. I live in a rainforest. We have monkeys on the house. I
I've
see the
seen the
ocean every
pictures.
beach. I can't now go back to that amount of people and the noise and the everything cities represent. It's just not me.
So you just want to live more simply.
Country living, I like with family and friends.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. All right, Todd, this has been awesome.
I appreciate the opportunity. I love your podcast. And once again, thank you. I love the name of it, Living Out Loud. That's what I think it's important to embrace.
Well, I think you kind of embody that,
Thank you.
really. I mean, For the last
Carpe
30
diem.
years, you definitely have. Carpe diem, pura vida.
Pura vida.
There you
And
go.
I'll see you soon
Yes, you
next
will.
week.
Yes, you
Hopefully.
will. Hopefully.
Thanks for the opportunity to express
Thanks,
myself.
Todd. No problem. Anytime. All right. Thanks, ma'am.
I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.
Okay.